everyone, it's James from the Fit RV. And check it out, we are selling water filters, like not someone else's water filter we're selling, it's actually our own product. It's the Fit RV 3-in-1 filter. You can get them just right on Amazon. They're available now. So if you don't want to watch the video, you just want to get the filter, go to thefitrv.com/filter. That'll get you there. But okay, selling our own branded water filter cartridges, that's a little bit different for us. So I thought I'd make this video to go through kind of a few things with you. Like, well, first of all, how the heck did this happen? How did we come to be selling water filters anyway? So I'll go through that. And I'll also tell you what the water filter does, what you can use it for, and along the way, we'll get into how these filters are different from other replacement cartridges you can buy. Okay, so first, how did we get here? Well, if you followed us for a while, you might know that we've been drinking the water from our RV's onboard water system for over a decade now. We actually have a seminar we do on how we do that and how you can too. Now, I will make a video version of that seminar so you can see it here if you haven't made it out to an RV show or a rally where we're presenting. But in that seminar, we maintain that there are 3 basic things you want from the drinking water in your RV. You want the water to be clean. Nobody wants to drink water with stuff floating in it, right? You also want the water to be tasty, because if it doesn't taste good, you're just not going to drink it. And finally, you want the water to be safe, because, it shouldn't make anyone sick from drinking it. Okay, so clean, tasty, safe. That's what you want. And obviously, that's going to involve filters in your water system at some point. Now, if you look in the market at higher end RV water filter systems, and some of these can get quite expensive, they include multiple filter stages and multiple filter cartridges. And something I noticed was that most top-of-the-line RV water filters, they included 3 separate elements that basically do those 3 things. There was one filter to get the water clean, another one to improve the taste, and a finishing filter to make sure that the water was safe. Well, we actually had one of those 3-stage filters, and I won't mention the brand, but when it came time to replace the filter cartridges, I noticed that the 3rd stage, the safe filter, had some pretty impressive claims attached to it. It claimed to be able to filter out viruses and bacteria and cysts. It claimed an effective filtration of 0.2 microns, etc., etc., etc. Well, me being me, I wanted some more detail to kind of back up those claims. So I contacted the manufacturer and I asked them for some testing reports or certifications or something like that. And they actually sent them. And while I was digging through those, that eventually led me to United Filters, who is actually manufacturing our filter. United Filters actually sent filters out to a lab and had them tested, and they have the lab reports, etc., to back up all those claims. So it's totally legit. But then I noticed that there were other filter cartridges that started with the same filter medium, the 0.2 micron stuff, but that had additional benefits and features. These extra benefits and features meant that just one cartridge could do all 3 of those functions of the expensive filters: clean, tasty, and safe. And they actually can do even more than that. And I thought that was pretty cool, but nobody was selling them. So then sort of a light bulb went off. Fast forward to now, and here we are. We are making these available ourselves because this is good stuff. These filters are pretty impressive, and we thought they should be available to more people. So, what exactly does this filter do? In a nutshell, this filter performs the same functions as those high-end, very expensive 3-filter systems, but this does all 3 of those things in just one cartridge and at a fraction of the price. So if your RV comes with a filter housing installed, as I know, for example, many Winnebago units do, then this is a single filter cartridge you can put in that housing to get the same benefits as the large, expensive 3-filter units, but you don't have to dedicate all the space or the money to a large RV water filter system. So how do we do that? Let's start with clean. Now, those expensive 3-filter units typically have a first housing that holds a 5-micron cartridge. And a micron, just for reference, is 1/1,000,000th of a meter, so it's very, very small. So when you're talking about filters, a micron rating refers to the largest particle that might pass through the filter. So a 5-micron first stage filters out everything 5 microns and bigger. Now, the idea behind that 5-micron cartridge is that you filter out the larger gunk ahead of time So that first stage filters out rust, sediment, floaties, etc. And that way, the later stages, which are even finer, those won't clog up prematurely. So now our cartridge, the FitRV 3-in-1 filter, has a 5 micron, here we go, 5 micron outer wrap to do the same thing. It's this layer here on the outside. And this also supports a midlife rinse so that you can extend the filter's life. Although, if you pull it out after like a month and it's caked up with crap, my first suggestion would be you re-examine where you're getting your RV's water from, because like we have never had a filter clog up. Okay, so 5 micron outer wrap. That gets the water clean. Now how about tasty? Well, the 3-element filters typically take care of this with a block filter made out of activated carbon. Now, most people have heard of activated carbon filtration to remove things like chlorine and other foul tastes and odors, so I'm not going to go into great lengths as to how that works, but I think most people would agree that activated carbon does improve the taste of drinking water. But now you should know just a little bit about how they make carbon block filters. So the way they do this is they take activated carbon powder, it's not toner, but think of something like that fine, and then they compress that into a solid, either in a mold or through an extrusion setup. And you can get them in various specifications, like you can get a 10 micron filter, a 1 micron filter, or a 0.5 micron carbon block filter. And the way they get to those smaller and smaller pore sizes is by compressing the material more and more and more, which does get you a smaller filtration size, but it can also cause a pressure drop, because it takes a certain amount of pressure just to squeeze water through that carbon block. And as you make the opening smaller, it takes more pressure to do that. So what does the 3-in-1 filter do for taste? Well, it starts with powdered activated carbon, similar to what you'd start with to make a carbon block. But then that's included in the media making process. So like, you know how they make paper, right? And maybe you did this as a kid. You know, you take some chopped up wood fibers, you mix it with water into a slurry, and then you kind of spread it out into a thin layer. And then when you remove the water, you've got paper. Same kind of thing here. So they take the fibers of the filter media, and then they add powdered activated carbon, and then they use that slurry to make the filter media. It's why, and I've got a sample here, it's why the FitRV 3-in-1 filter media is this gray color. It's because there's actually a good bit of activated carbon that is part of this paper. It's thicker than paper, but you get the idea. Now, the benefit of doing it that way is that we don't have the pressure drop like you can get when you're basically trying to force water through a stone, right? This means that there are other ways you can use the FitRV 3-in-1 filter, which we'll get to kind of towards the end. Okay, so we've got clean with a 5 micron outer wrap. We've got tasty with powdered activated carbon. Now how about safe? Well, like I said at the beginning, this is the same 0.2 micron filter media that other premium filters use. So how do they filter down to 0.2 of 1/1,000,000th of a micron? Well, they do it with an electroadsorptive filter media. And if I had to explain that in 20 words or less, I'd say that basically there are minerals in the filter medium that have a positive charge naturally, which attracts the negative charge that is present on most submicron contaminants. But now larger particles, things bigger than submicron, like 1 micron or bigger, those are still removed mechanically like you'd expect. So does that work? How good is it? Well, that brings us around to the laboratory testing again, which, and maybe I'll just scroll the stuff on the screen kind of, but it removes a lot of things. And that's just the filter media itself without the activated carbon even. And these numbers that I'll show you are, they're after the filters had already filtered out like 1,000 gallons of water. But the tests I was really interested in were the ones for bacteria and viruses. Did they really test that? And yes, they did. So this is just one of the tests. I'll put it on the screen. But it shows, and by the way, this has got to be one of the coolest jobs I can think of. The laboratory took City of Gainesville tap water and added biological contaminants to it and then ran that water through the filter. But like, they didn't use Ebola or anything. So if you live in Gainesville, don't go freaking out. You know, they just used less harmful biological stand-ins for the harmful bacteria, viruses, and cysts. And you can see that the filter removes darn near all of it. And in some cases, the contaminants were completely undetectable. Cool. So clean, tasty, and safe. Other filter systems can do it, but they typically do it with multiple stages while taking up a lot more space and costing a lot more money. The FitRV 3-in-1 filter does it all in one cartridge. 5-micron outer wrap for clean, activated carbon for tasty, and 0.2 micron electroadsorptive filter media for safe.
But wait, there's more.
I've wanted to say that ever since watching commercials for the Ginsu knife set way back when. But in this case, it's true. There's one more important thing the FitRV 3-in-1 filter does. And when you think about how you use an RV water filter, you'll realize just how important this is. Our filter contains an Agion silver additive. What this does is it inhibits the growth of microorganisms on the filter media itself while it's in storage. So think for a minute about how you use an RV water filter, and this will start to make a lot of sense. Take us, for example, Steph and I. We'll use the RV for a while, and then we'll put it away for a while. Now, I know what I really should do is remove the filter from its housing, drain it, dry it out thoroughly in a sanitary environment, put it in a plastic bag or something, and then put it in cold storage like a refrigerator until I want to use it again. Sure, that's what I should do. And to be clear, that's what I'm recommending you do with any RV water filter. But let's be honest, real life doesn't always 100% of the time follow best practices. So yes, you should remove, drain, and properly store your RV's water filters. But if it turns out you don't, then it's good to know the Agion additive is there working for you to help prevent your filter from becoming gross. Which sounds great, but does it really work? Well, I figured that would be easy enough to test on my own, plus I actually thought it would be fun. So I ran a little experiment involving our RV, water filters, and a public toilet. Yes, you heard that right. Check it out. I've got here a competing filter. It's a 2.5 by 10 inch filter cartridge of the same approximate construction as our FitRV filter, but not with the same filter material. And I've got here a piece of our FitRV filter material. And so what we're going to do is we've got Petri dishes. And so we're going to do this right. We're going to have a control group. We're going to have a control filter. We're going to have some that we try to get dirty. We're going to have some that we don't try to get dirty. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these filter samples, and 2 of them we're going to actually go find a public toilet down at the park down the road and just rub them on the toilet. If anything is that's way worse than you're ever going to do with a water filter. But if anything's going to get them contaminated, that ought to do it. So you get the Petri dishes ready and we'll get going. All right, those are going to be our control group. Thankful for these gloves now. Let's get out of here. Now we need to just store these and see if anything grows. And what better place to store them than right next to where we keep our own RV water filter. So I'm going to put them in the garage of the RV. So I've taped them up just in case we go on a trip. They won't come bouncing open, whatever. These 2 with the extra little squares of tape here, these are the contaminated samples, these 2. And then these 2 are a control. All right, it's been about 48 hours. The Petri dishes have been marinating in the back of our RV. We've moved now. We're down to Utah Lake. And here we go. All right, so now remember, the ones with the pieces of blue tape on it, those are the ones that made it into the toilet. So these were our 2 controls, and we can see here, there's nothing really going on there. So this is the regular filter paper. This is the FitRV filter paper. Nothing really going on there. But now the samples that went in the toilet, we have definitely got, I don't know if you can see that. It's gonna be here, look at the bottom. There we go. We definitely have all sorts of bacterial action on the bottom of that one. We got a little bit of glare here to deal with. Can you see it? And then I'm happy to report the Fit RV filter paper seems pretty much as it was. So I'll admit the experiment was far from perfect because, even though I'm pretty tidy, my shop is far from a sterile environment. But I was happy to see that I got the results I expected, and my takeaway from it was that the Agion additive is in fact doing what it's supposed to do. So think about how you use your RV water filter, and then think about that Agion additive. Our 3-in-1 filter has it. Other filters I've come across, even the really expensive ones, don't. So what can you do with this filter? Well, like I said earlier, this filter does all three of the functions of the other high-end water filters, but it does them all in one cartridge. So for example, if your RV has a water filter housing in its plumbing system, maybe like attached to the cold side of the kitchen sink, then that is an ideal place to use this filter. If you have a separate spigot in your RV for drinking water, and that water is filtered through a canister filter, then that is another great place to use the 3-in-1 filter. In fact, in our own personal RV, that is exactly where we use this filter. We use it as the second stage in our drinking water filter. So really quick, a word about sizes. We're offering this filter in two sizes. The first, that's this one, is a standard 2.5 inch by 10 inch filter cartridge, which fits most standard water filter housings out there, like this one. But we also offer a second size, that's this one, that will fit the Culligan US 600A filter housing, because we know Winnebago includes that housing in a number of its RVs, and we have a lot of friends with Winnebagos, and we didn't want to leave them out of the party, so to speak. And to be completely clear, I'm not saying that this filter is endorsed or certified by Culligan in any way, just that it happens to fit in that particular housing. Okay, so those first uses, under the galley sink or on a drinking water spigot, those are called point of use filters, and the 3-in-1 filter works great there. But due to its high flow rate and low pressure drop, the Fit RV 3-in-1 filter also makes a great point of entry filter. In other words, something that filters all the water coming into the RV. And for a point of entry filter, you really want it to have a high flow rate and very little pressure drop, because nobody wants to wait all day to fill up their tanks, and if you're an RVer who stays hooked up, nobody wants a wimpy, low pressure shower in their RV, right? Okay, because remember, to get 0.2 micron filtration with a carbon block, that is a highly compressed medium. It's sort of like forcing water through a stone. But our water filter isn't made that way, so it flows water easily. And we've been using our filter as a point of entry filter in our own RV for several months now, and it's working great. But because I'm me, I wanted some way to quantify that. So I ran another little experiment. I got an inexpensive flow meter, actually this one right here, and I checked the flow rate that I could get through our normal RV hoses at the place where I normally fill up the RV. And I was flowing 5.9 gallons per minute through our standard hose setup. Then I attached our filter housing. It's this one with no filter in it. And I was still flowing 5.9 gallons per minute. So far, so good. Then when I added the Fit RV filter into the housing, the flow did reduce somewhat, but it only dropped down to 5.5 gallons per minute. So the Fit RV 3-in-1 filter only reduced the flow by 0.4 gallons per minute, which I think comes out to maybe like a 7% reduction in the flow rate for our typical usage scenario. And this filter housing, by the way, is nothing special. We're not selling it, to be completely clear. It's just something I got off Amazon that takes standard 2.5 inch by 10 inch filter cartridges. I think it was all $30, but there are even less expensive ones available if you're interested in that. So now, if this really was an old commercial, this is the point where I'd say,
Now how much would you pay?
well, if you look at some of the 3-stage filters that kind of started me on this journey, they may only sell their replacement filters in sets of all 3, and those replacement kits can be around like $70. Now, there are some brands where you can buy just the high-end filter cartridge, the one that filters down to 0.2 microns, and those will be up to $60. But remember, that just does the safe part of clean, tasty, and safe. The Fit RV 3-in-1 filter does all 3, clean, tasty, and safe. Plus, it has the Agion silver additive to help keep the filter from getting funky while it's in storage. And we're going to start out with a price that's somewhere less than $50. Now, I can't guarantee it will always be that, so if you see this video 5 years from now, it might be more, but that's what we're going to start selling them at today. So that's sort of the deal. Our Fit RV 3-in-1 filter can get your water clean, tasty, and safe, all from one filter cartridge. It's got an additive to inhibit funkiness while it's in storage, which is important for RVers, and it's suitable for both point of use and point of entry application. And I have been using it myself in both of those applications, so I know that that is true. Like I said before, they're available on Amazon right now, and you can buy one. Just head over to thefitrv.com/filter. Do make sure you pay attention to which size you're ordering. There's the 2.5 by 10 inch size, which fits most standard filter housings. And then there's a special size that fits the Culligan 600A housing for our Winnebago friends. I'll put links down in the YouTube description that will take you directly over to our product page on Amazon, where you can get one to try out. And I do hope you try them out, and I hope you like it, because if you don't, well, then I've got about a 75-year supply of RV water filters for Steph and me. Happy RVing, everyone.